Hey everyone, and welcome back to Sandra Sells Tells, where we talk real estate, real people, and real life right here in our community. Whether you're driving to work, walking the dog, folding laundry, or sneaking in a little quiet time with your coffee, thanks for tuning in. Today's episode is one every homeowner, driver, business owner, and honestly, adult should listen to because we're talking insurance, and not the boring kind. The real life stuff people didn't realize until they need it. I'm excited to welcome Talia DeChiara, account manager with Atlantic Insurance, on my show today. We're diving into home insurance, auto insurance, umbrella policies, coverage mistakes people make, what's changing the insurance world in ways that people can better protect themselves, their families, and their investments. Talia, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Sandra.
Yeah, we're excited to help you. Tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into the insurance world.
So I've been in the insurance world my entire life. My dad started the agency when I was a child.
You were born into it.
And it was nothing I ever wanted to be a part of. But, I went on, I got an education. Life happened. I worked in another industry. And he said, how about you come work for me? And I was like, you know what? Sure, let's give it a try. And now 7 years later, it's a big part of my life.
That's awesome. So what is your role as account manager involved day to day?
So it's a lot of working with people who are already current clients. So if they have questions, comments, concerns, if they want to make payments, we're basically there to make their life easier. Anything that we can do to help them, that's what we're there for, to be the person in between them and their company.
All right, I like it. What makes Atlantic Insurance, the name of your guys' company, different from other agencies?
We really pride ourselves on our customer service, our communication with our clients. We are there for you. Being a small agency, there's only 7 of us in the office. So when you call us, you're going to talk to us. We're not going to send you to a call center. We're not going to send you to the company. And each client has 2 dedicated people that work for them. So if you want to talk to one of those 2 people, they're going to know everything that's going on. We will help you from the second you get your policy, through claims, through policy changes, through life changes, to make sure that we're there for you all the time.
And that is excellent and so important because nobody likes to deal with insurance or,
Not at all.
have it. And I can say from experience, because I had moved here 23 years ago from another state. I stayed with that same insurance and I had it for 20 years until a few years ago, and I switched to you guys because of the customer service and just the other people that work with you in your office as well too, and just such a good feeling. And I know your dad very well, but I've been very pleased. Any issues or concerns or anything that has ever come up, you guys are always like right there to answer. So I'm going to agree with what she just said about customer service. It does stand out. I can speak from experience. So let's talk about home insurance since I sell homes. What are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about homeowners insurance?
People think that every policy is the same. We'll get phone calls and some will be like, well, my neighbor pays $700 less than me, or I have this policy and it's $1,000 less expensive than yours. And it's like, well, every policy is different. Every company is different. There's no one size fits all. There's a reason that it's different. And until you educate yourself and learn and ask questions, you're not going to fully understand why there is such a difference.
All right, very good. I'm sure you get that question a lot. But so a standard homeowner's policy, what does it typically cover?
So a standard policy is going to cover the dwelling, which is the house. It's going to cover your personal property. It's going to give you liability coverage, and it can be as simple as that. But that's not enough to actually protect you and your future and your investment. A house is the biggest investment you're going to make in your life. And if you cheap out and just want that something simple, you're not making smart decisions.
Right. And it is a big investment. I help them buy those big investments, and I tell them, too, it is a big investment, so why not protect it?
Exactly.
And I know this is, you had mentioned it covers personal property, right? And that's always a question. How much do you value your personal property? Is there a good way to value that, to figure that out?
So in a standard homeowners policy, you're going to get a percentage of the dwelling coverage, and it's considered a package policy, so you're not paying for that. But we do always recommend people think about what you bring into the home. So before you move in, how much are you spending on your furniture? How much are your clothes worth? What do you have for electronics? What are your sports equipment? What are you bringing in? That's your personal property. And so, in a time of a loss, it's good to have an idea of what that stuff is valued at because it's going to make your claims process easier and getting paid out for what you actually lost.
All right, good. Good way to look at it. What are some prizes that people might think are covered under a homeowner's policy that are not
I think
covered?
the biggest thing is water is the worst thing for a home. So, groundwater is not covered. It's not good. There's nothing good about it. There are options. So, I mean, if you're in a flood zone, then yes, floods will be covered. You can add some sort of water backup, but for the most part, if you're talking simple groundwater, not covered.
Okay, so groundwater. Let me clarify that. Some people's water heater like breaks and destroys everything. Is that covered?
If you have some sort of water backup or some a home systems protection type coverage, that's not groundwater. Groundwater is going to be, for example, a lot of people probably experienced it this winter. We got a ton of snow,
Yeah.
and then it got melting really fast. That's groundwater, something
Okay.
that's coming from Mother Nature.
So, wow, that was not covered. Ice dams and all of that?
Ice dams is
Different
different. It's
than
insurance
snow?
is such a gray area. It's very interpretive. So it's so hard to say. It's not
Case by case
case by case.
and scenario and
Yes,
natural disaster by natural disaster, more or less.
exactly.
So, all right, good. I know we could dive into that, I'm sure, a lot. But are you seeing insurance costs on the rise now? Because I've heard
Abs-
people complain about that, but I feel like they complain all the
Absolutely.
time.
So insurance costs are extreme. Now, it's called a hard market. And so I joined the industry in 2019. And a year later, the world went haywire. And so that started the hard market where everything was crazy expensive. So to me, this is all standard, normal prices. Things go up, the cost to
Yep.
repair goes up, time, labor, everything is more expensive. Um, I was talking to some coworkers about this, and they said, 20 years ago or 30 years ago, homeowners insurance policies were like $500. Like that was the cost, and I'm like, that's crazy. Right now, if it's under 2,000, I'm like, wow, that's great for somebody.
Yeah,
So yeah, the cost of everything is going up, and
that's true.
it's shocking.
That's life, right? What home features can actually help lower your insurance costs?
Insurance companies like to see things that are going to help stop claims, mitigate claims, and make things simpler. So something like automatic water shutoffs,
Okay.
that is going to help, as well as central alarms, whether it's a fire alarm, something that if you're not home and there is something to notify somebody or stop something, that is going to help because they're trying to make the claim as small as possible.
Okay. And is there some red flags you think insurers look for when writing policies?
There are red flags everywhere. And it
Okay.
depends on the company. Every company is different. Everybody has their own niche. Everybody has their own hit list, as we call it. So, common things are, and being in Plymouth County, people or companies look at what's the distance to the coast, how close are you to water. And it's not just because of the water, it's also the wind, hurricanes, storms off the ocean. Companies are going to look at how old is your roof. And there's also what we call a bad dog list. And every company's bad dog list is different.
Yeah.
And that, once again, it comes down to each company, what they're going to consider a red flag. But basically, you kind of just look for what could be a problem in the future.
Very true. And you were asking like about the roof and stuff like that because buyers that are buying a home, we tell them to get their insurance binder before closing, and then they're always like, I need to know the age of, the mechanicals and the roof and things like that. So if I'm the list agent, I always try to get that information before I list it because it's very helpful. But I know that insurance companies ask for that when a buyer is buying a home.
It's one of the first questions that we ask because if your roof is older, you're more likely to have damage, previous damage that could be, water leaking in,
Yeah.
or the newer something is, the more likely it is going to last and not cause claims. So
Okay, very good. So while we're still on home insurance, what is something that people should update you about after they buy a home, get the insurance? Is there anything that they need to update you about?
people should update us all the time. And I feel like people
Okay.
don't tell us things and just assume that we're going to know some things. We have people that will put on additions on their house and won't even say anything. And it's like, oh, do I need to change my insurance? And it's like, well, yeah, you have so much more of a building. Like your
Yeah.
house is twice as big. I mean, your dwelling coverage needs to go up. Or even if you make upgrades, if you buy a house and it needs some TLC and you remodel the entire kitchen, well, now you go from like a builder's grade kitchen to maybe something that's more custom.
Yep.
And in the event of a loss, you want that custom repair to be done.
Very true.
So you need to update us more often than you think.
Okay. And I have heard before that people should take pictures of things in their house and their belongings in the event and keep it in a file.
Doesn't hurt.
Okay. All right. Doesn't hurt. Very good. Okay, let's jump over to auto insurance. What are some common mistakes people make with auto coverage? Probably
Uh,
not enough.
Seriously, the list could go on. We could do a whole 20 minutes on that. So you should shop your insurance. Not every year. I mean, and companies can see that you jump and just price shop and they don't like that. You do get credits for having somebody for a while, but you should shop your insurance. You should compare coverages and not always go with the cheapest. If you go with the cheapest now in the event of a claim, it could cost you more money in the long run. So comparing coverage that's similar, don't just say, oh, I got something similar to home. I got something that's $1,000 cheaper. And it's like, well, why? That's a big difference.
Yeah. Is full coverage really a thing?
No, it is not. And we hear people
Okay.
say it all the time. And personally, I think it's people that want to um, sound like they know what they're talking about. I want
Right.
full coverage, but there's no checkbox full coverage.
Okay.
When somebody says that, we assume and we confirm with them that they want, comp and collision. So different types of coverage, but there's no all
It can be
full means something. It doesn't mean anything.
right. Okay. And I know also I've been asked, and I've learned also, like, I got in an accident once, and I didn't have enough rental car coverage on there.
Yeah, that's become a big topic for us and our clients since, the hard market with homes. If you go to rent a car, it costs so much more than it did 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So if you used to be able to get a car, $30 a day used to be enough to cover you. And now it's not even getting you something small. So it's something that if you're in an accident and you need a rental, you should have substitute transportation and you should have a higher dollar amount because you don't want to be stuck with that bill at the end of the claim.
Very true. Very true. Okay. What are some ways people can save money on auto insurance without sacrificing their protection?
So if you have some sort of home insurance, it's great to bundle. Everybody wants to bundle, whether it's companies and clients, because it's giving you credits on both ends. And home insurance doesn't have to just be a homeowner's policy. It can be a condo. It's still a homeowner's policy type, and even a renter's policy. If you rent, you should have coverage, and
Insurance, yeah.
you can bundle that with your auto as well. Just having multiple policies and knowing that you're protected on both sides.
Yeah.
Um,
Renter's insurance is a thing because I work with some investors, and they rent out and they require all their tenants to have it. But it
As
makes
they
sense
should.
because something could happen and your stuff will be protected there too. And rental insurance is pretty inexpensive.
It is.
Yeah. All right. So are dash cams, bundled policies, or safe driving apps helping people save? We know bundled policies are. We just talked about that. But what about dash cams or safe driving apps?
I really haven't seen anything too much on dash cams. I feel like they're still relatively new in, but if you get in an accident, it can help you because you have a video to prove what you are saying. The driving apps is an interesting topic, and it has changed a lot, and it's going to change more in the future. Companies have been doing the driving apps for a while now, and they're kind of more of a reward-based system. So if you
Oh,
sign up, we can track you, and they're gathering data so that they can do their policies behind the scenes. It doesn't affect you individually, but as a company, they're gathering data. And more companies are coming out with, and we write with one of these companies where you can sign up for, it's a telecomatics app, and it can affect your policy. So if somebody comes in and they're like, I'm a good driver, I don't want to pay for all these other bad drivers on the road, it's like, all right, well, let's put your money where your mouth is and let's sign you up with this company. You'll get 10% off your first policy. And if you drive good and you get a good rating after your first year, you could have potentially up to 30% off.
wow.
But if you drive bad and you don't drive as good as you think you do, you could see a big increase.
Oh, so it's risk.
Yes.
Better put your money where your mouth is. Okay, fun stuff. All right. So, what other types of insurance should people be thinking about that they often overlook?
The first thing is an umbrella policy. It's so important, especially if you own a home, if you have young drivers, if you have rental properties. Umbrella policies are very important for people who have things to protect, and everybody has something to
So, what
protect.
does that mean, umbrella policy?
So,
What is,
an
in simple terms?
It's basically, it's going to give you extra liability coverage over all of your other policies. So it's liability
Okay.
and your underlying policies. So if you have a home, if you have a boat, if you have cars, you need to carry certain limits. And so if you were to have a liability claim, it's going to give you more coverage than your standard policy is. They start at $1 million, and depending on there's no right or wrong number on how much coverage you should get, but depending on what you have to protect, what your assets are, what your future outlook on life is, you can go up and get higher dollar amounts and limits for that.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. What insurance products are especially important for landlords or investment property owners?
Having the right coverage. So
Is no accident. Sounds
there,
like an ad.
well, so if you have a rental property, you don't have a homeowner's policy. You have a fire dwelling policy. So you want to make sure that you have the right policy in place because that's going to give you the coverage that you need. So if you have a fire dwelling policy, you're going to have the coverage for something like tenant relocation. So if there is a total loss on your building, you need to have the coverage and you have the financial responsibility to
Put them
put
somewhere.
them somewhere else. So you just want to
Things that a lot of people don't think about, so that's good.
exactly. And then also, if you are a landlord, you should have an umbrella policy, like I just talked about. You also want to make sure, and you had mentioned this earlier, that your tenants have a tenants policy. So it's going to cover them for their liability, and then they can choose how much personal property they have. But you want them to have that coverage in case they cause something.
Very good. Very good. So people with boats, motorcycles, all the fun toys, RVs, vacation homes, do they need separate policies or does that go under that umbrella?
Absolutely, they need a separate policy.
Okay.
I always use the rule of thumb is if you can get an insurance policy for something, chances are it's not covered on another policy. So there are options and there are instances where, you can get some boat, say liability coverage under your homeowner's policy. But if you have a boat, you should have your own boat policy. You should have the right coverage for the specific toy that you have. There's a reason they make a specific policy for it because it's going to
Yeah.
give you the proper coverage.
All right. Very good. Very good. What is the weirdest insurance claim story you've ever heard?
So I feel like I haven't been in the industry long enough to have a weird story, but there are definitely instances where it's like just silly things that happen, whether, and this has happened more than once, is somebody has been in their garage and they've forgot to open the door and just backed right up into the garage door. It's a lot of times the claims are something weird is really silly. And luckily haven't had to deal with that too much. And so I'm hoping that I can kind of keep that question on the side for a while.
All right, that's good though. That's good. Very good. Um, do sellers need to know anything before putting their home on the market regarding their insurance?
I don't think that there's anything that you need to specifically know, but it is important to understand that your policy is a contract. And so part of that contract is, if you have a homeowner's policy, is that you, the homeowner, live in the house. So if you're going to sell your house, but you already bought your house, if your house can't be vacant for more than 30 days, if
Okay,
it's a standard policy. So if you're going to move out, you need to make sure that you're covered. Another popular thing that you probably see is, the closing got pushed back, but the
Yep.
sellers want to move. So the buyers move in before the house is sold. You can't just do that without talking to insurance. Some companies will make you rewrite the policy to a fire dwelling. And some, if it's only going to be a couple of days, will have a stipulation that they'll allow it. But you can't just not tell.
The real estate attorneys don't like those when it's called use and occupancy. It's a
Yeah.
big drawn up thing because it's just, if something happens, the seller
Insurance
still
doesn't like
owns
it
that.
either.
Yeah, I'm sure insurance hates it, and I don't know that I've seen too many people talk to their insurance company about that. But I have seen people, their house is vacant, they've been out, they've been getting it ready, and they've had to change their policy a little bit to adjust it since nobody was living there to protect
Absolutely.
them. So good stuff. So, what is one insurance tip that you could give everyone?
It's hard to narrow it down to just one,
Okay.
but I would say ask questions. We are professionals. We have we take a lot of classes. We have certificates. We have licenses to do what we do. And if you don't ask questions, you're never going to understand your policy. And we want our clients to understand what's covered, what's not covered. So ask questions and educate yourself.
Very good idea. Very good idea. So if people wanted to connect with you or find you guys, how would they find you?
So we love for visitors to come to our office. I know it's
Okay.
strange in today's day and age, but we are located in Kingston Center. Our doors are open Monday through Friday. And so when people come in, it is great. We have a beautiful little office that's old and people love to look at. So you can
right.
definitely stop in.
I will have to pop in.
Yeah, I mean, we're on Facebook and Instagram, Atlantic Insurance Brokerage. We have a new website, which is www.aibmass.com, where you can find out how to get in contact with us. You can reach out to us there or give us a call. We're always happy to help.
And what's the phone number for those listening?
Our phone number is 781-585-5551.
Sounds pretty easy to remember.
It
So that's good. So you guys have a physical location, a building. You're not just somebody they're talking to from a computer. They can come in and see you and connect with you. Some people love to do that. Some just like to go online, but you have the option for both.
We have the option for both in today's day and age. Some people don't want to come in exactly. And there are some clients we haven't met. We've talked to on the phone. We do signatures online. And then we have other people that come in because they want somebody local. They want to come in. They want to see us. And we're there for both of them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, I always end my podcast with a key of the week, kind of based on who I've been interviewing. And I knew this was insurance. So this week's key of the week is insurance isn't just paperwork. It's protection for your home, your family, your business, and your future. The cheapest policy isn't always the best policy, and understanding your coverage before you need it can save you a lot of stress later. So Talia has taught us all sorts of fun facts about different types of insurance. People don't always like to talk about it or spend it, but it's always good to be protected. So thank you so much for joining me today and helping make insurance feel a little less overwhelming and more understandable. And thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of Sandra Sells Tells. If this episode helped you, taught you something new, or made you realize you should probably review your policies, make sure to share it with a friend or a family member and reach out to Atlantic Insurance. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, like, and keep supporting the amazing local professionals we have right here in our community. Until next time, stay protected, stay informed, and keep making smart moves.